Hello, and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I'm a Senior Software Support Analyst supporting the Transformation Extender product from IBM. The topic for this video is ITX 11 installation on Linux. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett Tech. In this practical demonstration, I will install ITX 11 on the Linux platform and show what checks should be done after to ensure it is working. The same instructions can be used for installation of ITX 11 on AIX. Launcheradmin needs to be run at least once, GUI or command line, and before using the REST API some preparation needs to be done. For further details, please review the release notes at the URL shown. For this demonstration, I have a virtual machine running under Oracle VirtualBox, and in that virtual machine I have Linux installed. I'm going to move that to one side. I've used the PuTTY program to log into that Linux box, and I've changed to the opt IBM subdirectory. Within this directory, my administrator has created for me a subdirectory within which I will put the ITX product. Folder name ITX 11011. As you can see, I have full permissions to this directory. The directory is completely empty currently, and if we look in my downloads folder, you can see that I have the gzipped tar file containing the ITX 11011 runtime. I'm going to extract that now. Here's the command, paste it in and extract. It's very important that the first command you run after extract is .space./setup. The reason for this is it updates a file in the libs subdirectory called install.properties and completes these lines so that they include the proper installation directory. Okay, now that that's done, there's some additional directories I want to make before I copy across some map files and test the command server. Here are my make directory commands that I'm going to run. So that's created a few extra directories for me, and we're going to go inside maps and see that it's currently empty of files, although there are two subfolders. In my file transfer program, I'm going to go into maps and copy across a pre-configured compiled map. The map is called 2upper. I'm going to run that map now. I'm going to echo in a 5-byte string to input card 1. The string is hello. And if I do a cat of the file that's been created, output.txt, you will see hello in capitals, showing that the command server is fully working, and it appears that the ITX 11011 installation is so far successful. Next step is to configure the launcher. Now I could use the GUI to configure the launcher. I would need an X Windows system running on here, or I could go into the virtual machine itself and fire up the GUI mode, log in and run the GUI to configure, but I'm just going to use a command line for now. So first thing I'm going to do is add a user to my launcher configuration. All of these commands will be included in the notes of this video. There we go, the user has been added. Next I'm going to export the configuration to an XML file, which I shall use as my backup to come back to in case anything goes wrong later on. If we have a quick look at that XML file, you can see the user that I created is here, and the default ports for the product are all listed: 5015, 7000, 8000, etc. So this basic system is going to be looking in the systems subdirectory of the product for MSL files. So let's pop one of those in now. If I go into systems, drag across my pre-configured system2.msl file, While I'm in config, there's one small change I want to make to the config.yaml file. I'm going to search for a string called launcherlog, capital L, capital L, and then I'm going to append to that line a space, a quotes, an EWSC and a quotes. And I'm going to save that file. What that does is it turns on the startup launcher log, which we will find created in the logs subdirectory when we try to start the launcher. So currently empty. Let's try starting the launcher. A little warning pop up there, launcher running under non-cluster mode. We can ignore that. The launcher is now running. We have our 3 logs, our compound system.log, our compound system.txt, and our launcher log.log. If we do a cat of the compound system.txt file, at the bottom there it says startup is successful. Okay, but let's see if it actually runs the map for us. If we go back to our maps directory, I'm going to remove the output. I'm going to remove the log file. So as you can see, we've only got those 2 subdirectories and the map. The subdirectories are both currently empty. However, if I send something to the input directory, and then I show you the content of the output directory, you will notice that the file has moved from input to output. And if I show you the content of that file, you will see that it has been uppercased as per the map design. So there we go, we have the launcher running as well. Next I'm going to stop the launcher and get the REST API running. That's the launcher shut down. Before I start configuring the REST API, there are a couple more changes I want to do to the config.yaml file. I've made those changes earlier and I'm going to copy them in and then show them to you in the edit window. First change I want to highlight is that the authentication, which by default is enabled, so this value here that's currently false was set to true, so I've changed that to false. I don't want authentication enabled, I just want to be able to use the API without any kind of authentication getting in the way. Moving down, I've updated the files line to include the files subdirectory of the ITX installation product. This is one of the directories I created earlier. Then we have the maps entry, I updated that. We have catalog. I did not update the work directory. I did update config and I did update log. With all those modified, we should be able to install the REST API and have it run immediately. For the REST API to work, the Redis server has to be running in the background, so let's do that. I'm going into Redis bin and I'm running Redis server and I'm putting an ampersand symbol on the end to run it in the background. There we go, Redis is running for us. The next step is to install the REST API. So we'll come back 2 directories and into Tomcat, where we have the DTX Tomcat script, which I'm going to run with the install command. Okay, the Apache Tomcat web server is running. Our REST API should be up, so let's give it a test. I'm going to fire up a new session, a duplicate of this session, and I'm going to run my curl command in this duplicate session. Here's my curl command. It's going to run the same map to upper. It's going to pass in the string test data, and it's going to output the result of output card 1 onto the command line. So there we go, the curl command has successfully connected to the local host on 8443 and outputted the capitalized test data string. So there we have it. We have ITX 11 installed, command server demonstrated, launcher briefly demonstrated, and finally the REST API briefly demonstrated. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video presentation today. If you found it interesting and informative, hit that like button. Perhaps leave me a comment. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I release content such as this on a regular basis. feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett Tech. Thank you.